friends. Just making sure I've got everything ready to go. Welcome to KTI English Preparation Center's English Language Learning Lessons. You noticed from the first slide that we are talking today about verb tense, the simple past. Well, is it simple? Maybe not. You might find it very difficult to talk about past tense or something that happened in the past. So that's what today's lesson focuses on. Let's take a peek. If you are joining us for the first time, my name is Tammy. I'm an instructor with KTI English Preparation Center here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And again, welcome to our live English lessons. This is a slide from previous videos. I'm just reusing it because we've talked already, we've compared present tense and present progressive. No, I can't remember. We've done 2 videos on verb tenses. Last week, we did 1 verb tense instead of comparing. This week, I'm going to do the same, just to give you the tips and the tricks, the rules on how to do each one. So in English, again, verbs are used to talk about the actions in the past, the present, and the future. Okay, every language, same thing. We're going to focus on past tense today. Things that have already happened, like earlier in the day, a few months ago, a few days ago, a few years ago, right? Yesterday, those types of times. They've already happened, done, finished. So for example, I ate eggs for breakfast today. That's a past tense. It's already finished. I have eaten the eggs. There's a different verb tense. We talk about present tense, things that are happening right now, or continuous actions. We were looking at that last week. I eat eggs for breakfast every day. Or the future. I will be eating eggs for breakfast tomorrow too. So those are our past, present, future tenses. And there's a number of verb tenses, the simple tenses and the perfect tenses, continuous tenses, those ones. Today we're talking about simple past. I'm just going to remove my face because it's in the road here. This is our chart, the very same one. No, I added the infinitive to it. The very similar chart to last week's presentation, showing the forms of a verb. So that verb, the word, comes in the infinitive form. We call the infinitive, it's like the one you see in the dictionary. So if you're looking up what the word means in the dictionary, in the English dictionary, you will see to play. That's the infinitive form of the verb. The root word or the base word, sometimes you call it the base verb, is play. Present tense, verb 1. Lots of you have studied English in your home countries, and you look at this chart, you learn verb 1, verb 2, verb 3, verb 4. So that might be easier for you to refer to it. Present tense or verb 1 is usually when you add S to the word, unless of course it's irregular verb, right? Verb 2 is the one we are going to use today. Okay, I've highlighted the column purple. That's the verb 2, the past tense form of the verb that we're going to use for the simple past. We have the past participle. We used that last week. If you're looking at using that. Present participle, we will do verb tenses for that one as well. So no worries, we'll come to that. So how do I use the simple past verb tense? Well, I've already mentioned that it is used to talk about actions that have already happened. They're finished. In the past, they're behind us, done. Okay? We're going to use time marker words like yesterday, last, ago, when. Those types of words give us the hint, the clue that, oh, this is past tense. So for example, I taught a speaking class yesterday. My dad came to visit last night. 3 months ago, we moved to BC. Or my son started walking when he was 9 months old. Okay, so these are examples of where we've got the time marker words that tell us this is a past event. It's finished. We have 3 ways to use simple past. And with regular verbs, it's so nice and simple. Sort of. So we use verb to. For regular verbs, it's just that root word or base verb, whatever you want to call it, and we add ed onto the end. It's that simple. So we just say, I walked to work. Okay? The verb walk, or the infinitive to walk, we just add ed, and we've got past tense. I walk to work is simple present. I walked to work is simple past. It rained all day yesterday. You watched a movie last night. We learned English last year. Okay? Nice and easy. It's just your regular verb, put ed on the end. Right? Okay. But for negative sentences, when you're saying, no, this did not happen, we don't use verb to anymore. We use did not, or you can see I've got the contraction, didn't, and then we go back to the base verb. Okay, so for negative sentences, we're not using verb to, we're using the base verb or the root word again. For questions, we don't use verb to, even though we're talking simple past. We use did, and then the subject, did he, did you, did they, and then the base verb again. So, for example, walk. Instead of walked, it'll be, did I walk to work? I've got some examples coming. Or the WH questions, the who, what, when, where, why, and the H one, how. We use the question word, usually a double H, or the W word, or WH, did, subject, base verb. So let's look at some examples. So, I walked to work is simple past. I didn't walk to work, or did not walk to work, is the negative simple past. It rained all day yesterday. It did not rain all day yesterday. So you see, we go back to the base verb, rain, to rain. You watched a movie last night. Did you watch a movie last night? Or we learned English last year. When did you learn English? Okay, so you see how those work? I hope. But here's a review. I did a video, common pronunciation mistakes. There you go. And we had in there how to say ed. There's 3 ways to pronounce the ed ending in English. Okay, let's take a peek. Remember from the video before, it all depends on the final consonant sound. So words that end in T or D are pronounced id. Id. So you'll notice want, wanted, not ed, not wanted, wanted. Needed. We've got the ID. It's spelled ed, but it's pronounced ID. If the last sound is a voiceless sound, again, there's other video, actually the common pronunciation mistakes video has what are voiced and voiceless sounds. Voiceless sounds, consonant sounds, then the ed is pronounced as t, as just the letter T, still spelled ed, but it's pronounced t. So help, You don't feel any vibration. Your vocal cords are not moving. It's just pushing the air out. So because it's voiceless, then we put the t sound at the end. Helped, looked. Okay? If the last sound is a voiced sound, so you feel the vibration in your throat, the ED is pronounced as d, d. Called, cleaned. I cleaned my carpets yesterday, right? Words that end in a vowel, they sound like D because they are voiced sounds. So OW, it's the O sound, followed. Enjoyed, that diphthong, the OY, is a vowel sound. It's voiced, so then we say D, enjoyed. Okay, the spelling rules with regular verbs. I'm just going to go through those quickly. If the verb ends in E, we just add D. Like becomes liked, again with the T sound, but we just add D because the E's already there. If the verb ends in a consonant and a Y, you change the Y to an I and add ED. So carry, we have consonant, R. Y is a consonant, but in this case it's sounding like a vowel. It sounds like the E, the long E sound. Carry, we change that to an I and we add ED. So that's how you spell carried. If the verb ends in a vowel and a Y, we just add ED. So play, AY, just add ED. If the verb ends in a CVC pattern, so consonant, vowel, consonant, then we have to double that last letter or that last consonant and then add ED. So we've got hug. I want to give you a hug. You've got a consonant H, vowel U, and consonant G. If I say, I hugged my son last night, or I hugged my son when he left, you have to double that last G. All right? All others, just add ED. So watch, watched. It's still spelled, again, always spelled ED, but it doesn't sound like an ED. Okay. Simple past with irregular verbs. This is when it becomes tricky. So simple past, you may say, oh, it's just simple. It's easy to do. But there are so many verbs in English that don't follow that rule. You add ED to the simple past tense. It's not that simple. And there's no real rules for it. You just have to learn those words. Again, going back to our very first video or at the end of our videos when we say practice, 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 just as you practice those, it will become easier. I'm just going to go quickly to my display here. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so here's, for example, the list that we use in class. Common irregular verb forms in alphabetical order. I got some listed, highlighted here because, for example, to put something away, I put my shoes on the rack. That's simple present. Past tense, it's the same. Put, it's not putted. And the past participle is the same. That word, that verb does not change. Whereas, same with read. I read every night before I go to sleep. But we changed the pronunciation for past. I read a great book last night. And read is your present participle and read is your read is your present participle. It's the same form. Read, 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 right? It's just pronounced differently. Fly, to fly. I want to fly in an airplane again. I flew in an airplane. I have flown in an airplane before. So 3 different forms. You've got verb 1, or the base verb, verb 2, and verb 3, but they don't follow the same rules. Okay, let's go back. So, simple past with irregular verbs. You just have to know that verb 2 form. It's not going to be ed added to the end of it. Okay, so it's a little trickier. Same format though. So we say so the verb is to ride or ride. I rode my bike to work. So verb 2 for the verb to ride is rode, not rided. Okay? He read the email yesterday. The verb is read. It's spelled the same way. It's pronounced differently. You went to the movie last night. The verb is to go. But the past tense is went. We caught these fish last year. The verb is catch, to catch. We watch is spelt the same, W-A-T-C-H. We say we watched a movie, but catch is C-A-T-C-H. We don't say catched. We catched these fish last year? No. The verb 2 of to catch is caught. Still, when we do the negative sentences, we go back to the base verb. Simple past is the same for negative sentences for regular and irregular verbs. So just remember, you say did not and the base verb. Questions, same format. Did plus the subject plus the base verb. Or the question word, what, did, subject, and the base verb. So let's take a look. So I rode my bike to work is simple past. Simple past for negative, I didn't ride my bike to work. He read the email yesterday. He did not read the email. So pronunciation is different. Spelled the same. Pronunciation is different. You went to a movie last night. Did you go to a movie last night? There I go again, making a mistake. We caught these fish last year. When did you catch these fish? Okay. Then we have the be verb, to be, and we can use that verb in simple past. Sometimes the be verb is a helper verb, sometimes it's the main verb. And we use the form was and were with simple past. For singular nouns, singular pronouns, non-count nouns or singular nouns, we use was. For plural nouns and pronouns, we use the form were. Let's take a look. So, I was in school last year. You were at school on Monday. Now, if you remember talking about our pronouns, you sometimes refers to one person, singular. I could be talking to one person when I say that sentence, but I could be talking to a group. You were at school on Monday. So for the pronoun you, we treat it as a plural pronoun. So it gets were behind it. They is plural. They were nervous about school. Okay? Sentences, negative sentences, we say was not or wasn't, or were not, weren't. For questions, same format really, we say was or were and then the subject, or we have the question word, was or were and the subject. So let's take a look. The weather wasn't nice, or the weather was not nice. The stores weren't open last year, or the stores were not open last year. The questions, was she at a movie last night? So we use the be verb first. It's kind of like our question word. Was she at the movie last night? Question word, when were they nervous? So question word, the past tense of the be verb for plural, your plural pronoun or subject, and then your question, right? Your question word. All right, hopefully that wasn't too fast. Let's look at these sentences. Tell me if they are correct or incorrect. Tell yourself, obviously. Okay, let's think about them. I'll read them all and look at them, think, do they sound correct or do they sound funny? And do they follow the rules? So the yellow one, he studied for his exam all night. You decide. I'll tell you in a minute. The children, this green one, the children eated lunch already. So our time marker already tells us it's past. Maria weared the blue dress you saw. They listened to traditional music last weekend. My daughter rided her bicycle to the park. So I read them all. You might have read them all. And you're saying, I know that one's correct. He studied for his exam all night. It's just your past tense of the verb. Study ends in a Y, so it has to change the Y to I and add ed, but it's correct. Oh, I'm in the road here. Sorry. Let's move myself over. You can see the check mark. This blue one, they listened to traditional music last weekend, is correct as well. It's verb to, listened. You just add ed. It's a regular verb. You add it to the sentence. But this one, the children eated lunch already, is incorrect. Eated, or to eat, is not a regular verb. So we cannot just add ed to the end. It is an irregular verb. To eat becomes ate. The children ate lunch already. This purple one. Maria wore the blue dress you saw. Again, this is an irregular verb. Maria weared is not a regular verb, so you can't say weared. Or to wear. Past tense or verb to becomes wore. Same thing with the light blue, the teal at the bottom. My daughter rided her bicycle to the park. To ride is not a regular verb, so we have to say my daughter rode her bicycle to the park. You see, the mistakes I had here were between regular and irregular verbs. Okay, hopefully you got all those. Let's go to the next practice page. These ones, think about how to fix the mistakes. So all of them have mistakes. How are we supposed to say them in proper English? So this yellow one. Did you studied last night? Now it's asking a question. Remember what the rule is for questions? Did plus the subject, you, is good. Did you? That's perfect. But we don't have the verb to or the ed form or the past tense form. We have to put a Y there instead. It has to be, did you study last night? Okay, it's still simple past, but because we're asking a question, we have to go back to the base verb. They was late for class. They was late. If you know exactly what it is, let's see. Should be they were late for class. Was and were are the past tense of the be verb, but they is a plural pronoun, meaning more than one person. So we have to use were with they. They were late for class. My neighbor mowed the lawn. Okay? Mow, to mow, means to cut the grass. My neighbor mow the grass, mow the lawn. Mow is present tense. Well, sort of. It's not really present tense. It's the base verb, to mow. Present tense is mows. So you add S to it. My neighbor mows the lawn, or is mowing the lawn. Present right now. My neighbor mows the lawn means it's something that continually happens. But we're talking past tense. To change that to simple past, we have to say mowed. So that's the verb too. It's just add ed. It's a regular verb. My neighbor mowed the lawn. You could say yesterday, last week. You could have that time marker word, but this still tells us that it's already done. Neighbor has finished, completed mowing the lawn, or mowed the lawn. When did you went to school? Okay, when did you went? Well, we're asking a question again, remember? We're asking a question. When did you, so the question word, did, and the subject, that's all correct. Our form of the verb is incorrect here because we're not using verb to in a question. We have to go back to the base verb. The base verb of went is go, or the infinitive, to go. When did you go to school? Okay. Last one. You did not played video games yesterday. Okay. Again, this one, remember we are doing the negative. We've got the word not in there. So that's the negative sentence. Because it's the negative sentence, simple past, we can't use verb to. So we got to get rid of this ed. It's got to say, you did not play video games yesterday. Okay? If they did play video games, you just say, you played video games yesterday. That's past, simple past. But as soon as you change it to a negative sentence or a question, remember you have to go back to the base verb. All right, we're at the end. So how to practice? I said this again. I've said it over and over. Okay, listen to English everywhere you can. I know sometimes that's hard, especially for us mums who are home with the kids all day. I understand that completely, but you do need to listen to English to practice to get better. Read whatever you can get your hands on. Songs are good. English songs are good as long as they have proper grammar, but it's still a really good way to listen to English. Practice, 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 and more practice. Watching these videos, right? Practicing with your friends. Practice with those school-age kids of yours if you have them, right? Most important, stay positive. Yes, I can do this. You can do this. So stay positive. Credits, again, our credit page, same as before. Thank you to all these great websites and businesses. And here's my idiom from last week too. I'm going to call it a day. I've kept you long enough. Yes, I have kept you long enough. It's time to call it a day and quit. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week, everybody. And I have to get to the right one. I'll see you later. Bye.